What's up, everybody? Stock Picks by Tim here, and I've got 3 stocks for you today that I want you to look into. Now, first off, we have here on the screen Sofi. All right, now one thing you need to be aware of, let me get myself out of the way. One thing you need to be aware of is their earnings is going to be the 1st of March, so coming up very soon, just a week or two away. This is likely going to cause some volatility in SoFi. Now, as of late, we have been just continuing on a downtrend. Keep an eye on this downtrend. We did hit this 3 times. If we go into earnings and have just a shred of positive news, it can likely launch this up and we can break this, meaning that technical traders will notice this. Okay, so one thing with technicals and patterns, you want to find a pattern that everybody else is going to see. You don't want to just believe too much about a pattern if it's a hard to make pattern. You know, if it's something that takes you a lot of effort to make that pattern, it's very likely that other people might not see it. So this is a very simple pattern. It's been downtrending, okay? And another thing, if you go back, this was a SPAC, okay? It came out, it was one of the Chamath Palihapitiya stocks, and it came out as a SPAC. I believe it was IPOE or IPOD, correct me if I'm wrong. Once there was news that this was going to merge with the SPAC, there was a huge rally. We went up to about 30, ran down, then we hit almost 25, and then we got a little lower than that previous high, and that was enough for everybody to just jump ship, and it's been on a downtrend ever since. Me personally, I think it's a good time to start getting in if you're long-term minded. Okay, this definitely isn't really the current market for swing trades. It just hasn't really been, everything's been downtrending. It's kind of hard to make any swing trades, but they are still out there. They are still out there. But currently this is the type of kind of like a day trader's paradise or a long-term investor's paradise. So right now, if you're looking for swing trades, you might want to go with a pretty tight stop loss and just keep an eye on this pattern. When we get closer to the earnings, you might want to ride that momentum up if there's positive earnings. There's multiple ways. There's multiple ways to play this. You could always go with the long-term mindset, or you could look at this as, if it runs up on earnings, has some very positive news. Even if you get a 5% run, you could always set a stop loss and see if it continues to run. I don't really like to buy on huge green days, but sometimes you can ride that momentum. So it just depends on how you want to trade this. If you're a long-term investor, I think this is actually a great time to get into SoFi. Now, that being said, we could, of course, break that previous level. There are going to be people watching for this level. If it breaks it, we're going to likely be coming down to, 9, 8, anywhere. Who knows? So that's one thing to be aware of. That's why sometimes a stop loss isn't a bad idea. But if you're a long-term investor, you're just kind of averaging in, buying the dips throughout. So it really just depends on how you want to play this one. We are still in a downtrend, so just be aware of that. And me personally, I see it as a long-term buy, long-term hold, especially at this price. We have been seeing higher lows, but earnings, it is still going to be likely negative EPS, and that's something that Wall Street has been avoiding in this current environment. No one wants to really touch anything that's negative EPS. All right, now next up, I want to talk about Indi, INDI, and this is a semiconductor stock. This is one of my highest, actually, this is the highest conviction play for me in the semiconductor industry. And looking at it, we do have earnings coming up tomorrow, guys, as of this upload, okay? So you might be watching this, earnings might come out already. So make sure you listen to the earnings call, get any information about their acquisitions, like the analog devices, their radar division. There might be more information there that we want to listen to, but they are also expecting a negative EPS, okay? And for me, this is a long-term play for me, okay? I believe in Indi semiconductor. If you haven't watched my previous video, I do go into Indi. It didn't get a lot of love. This is a kind of a slept-on stock, to be honest. No one really, in my opinion, knows much about this one. It's very, this one's very under the radar. And when you look at it, we are right here near support. We did break it, but we flipped up and we are holding this support. So keep an eye on it. Earnings needs to come out and be pretty good. Even if it meets, it's very likely earnings will still drop. Wall Street is Wall Street is not risk on. The market is not risk on right now. Even if earnings hits, I think it's going to need a pretty big beat for it to have a rally. And that's just my personal opinion, but listen to Indi. We're going to learn more about any kind of chip shortage information. Definitely want to listen to it. If you have even AMD, Intel, anything like that, you're going to want to listen to their earnings here on Tuesday because it's going to give you a lot of information about the semiconductor space, and I think that's important. Now, we are on this downtrend. We did break it, and we're holding this support. So keep an eye on Indi. I think it's a solid stock. I am long-term on Indi, and I think it's at a great price right now at $8. And let's get into the final stock here, and you guys will probably be very surprised about which one it is. All right, of course, CleanSpark. Yeah, big surprise, right? Sorry, but I just can't stress enough that I think this is a great deal. Now, you do look at the price to sales, it is a bit high, okay? But for a growth stock, I mean, a 3 isn't that bad. Anything under 1 is generally seen as excellent. Now, when you look at the price to book, though, it's under 1, so that is great, okay? And, you know, the price to sales is at the lowest point it's ever been. And I think that's a good thing to see. And forward PE, of course, is at 6. You know, we're in the 6s. I think it's a great time to hop on CleanSpark, and let's check out the chart. Now, looking at CleanSpark's chart, it does appear that the trend is changing and to the upside. They did just give their earnings, and to much surprise, they are at a positive EPS, profitable now, and they beat their revenue by quite a bit. Their revenue this quarter reported was 41 million. Last quarter was 25, so almost double. And for the next quarter earnings, which is going to be a long time from now, I'm jumping ahead here, but I'd expect very close to 50 million. Okay, and you can actually kind of get an idea. Of course, you can't really guess too much about the energy side of things, although that saw an increase too, which is great news. But when you look at, they give you updates about their Bitcoin mining, so you can kind of go with the price of Bitcoin times how many Bitcoin they mine per day, and then times that by a month, and then times that by a full quarter, 3 months. So that's one way to kind of give you almost a cheat sheet of an idea of where CleanSpark will be in terms of revenue. So keep an eye on that. You know, they do post on Facebook from time to time, pretty often actually. And yeah, I mean, CleanSpark for me, anything under 10 is an absolute steal, and I will continue to buy even in the low teens, okay? I want to see it run very nice. You know, I do have a fully built out position, but I will continue to average through, okay? If it stays in this low 10 level, it's a strong buy for me. It's a very strong buy. And you will notice that lately we've been having increasing volume, and that has pushed this up to the positive. And I think it's a huge deal that this is positive EPS. You know, I think there's a huge deal, and in this environment, that's a fantastic thing. Now, that being said, Bitcoin has been pulling back a bit. Just the fact that over this weekend, you know, Bitcoin has been dropping quite a bit. I believe before the close on Friday, Bitcoin was like around 40, 42, if I'm correct here. And you know, now we're down at 38, 39. So we'll see where Bitcoin goes to the rest of this day, and then in the morning pre-market. But I do expect CleanSpark to have a bit of a pullback. Okay, so watch for that. If it does break this trend line, we may fall further. So keep note of that little trend line here. But we are kind of in an upward channel. It's very likely we can come back down. You know, we can possibly test the 5s. I kind of doubt it. I think we could possibly just come down to the low 8s, maybe 7s. And that's just mainly if Bitcoin continues a kind of downtrend. If Bitcoin doesn't start showing some strength soon, it's very likely CleanSpark is going to drop a bit. And for me, that's a buying opportunity. But that's basically it for you guys. 3 stocks that I think are great deals for the long term. Short term, it's anybody's guess. But thanks as always, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. I put out videos every day, or I try to. And until next time, take it easy.